Hi everyone, Hampus here. I'm one of the organizers of this Stockholm Accessibility Meetup and also kind of an accessibility nerd, as you might be able to tell by my VKAG beanie here. You'll probably be wondering, why are you outside and where the hell is your PowerPoint? And yeah, I'm outside because I'm a parent of a tiny baby who I'm out walking. I got creative to find some time. And I'm happy to tell you there will be no PowerPoint because of that. I'll be taking you along for some strolls and mixing it up with videos from other parts of my everyday life, I guess. All on the topic of best practices for making accessibility stick in your organization. But let's start with a common pitfall. Remember back in elementary school where all the cool kids would take wet paper towels and throw them at the wall? The way many organizations work with accessibility is kind of similar. They'll ask some accessibility expert like myself to do a one-time effort to find as many accessibility issues as I can and then write them down. And it feels a bit like I'm writing the issues down on paper towels: fix contrasts, label menu button, remove the dumb accessibility overlay, and so on, and then soaking them in water and throwing them on the wall. It's a bit fun to do this, but the issues you throw on the wall eventually and quite quickly fall down into a wet puddle on the floor. Someone steps in once in a while, reminding them of the accessibility work you had planned but never got around to doing. So how do you make accessibility stick like super glue? Well, let's look at some of the things the most successful organizations have in common. I'll call them sticky accessibility wins. And here's number one. Make someone accessibility lead, or head of accessibility, or senior accessibility strategist, architect person, whatever you name it. Make it part of their role, their job description, and make sure it sticks even if that person quits or gets run over by a bus or whatever. But having one person in charge usually isn't enough. Imagine this fireplace full of big wooden blocks is where you work, and you want to light an eternal, cozy, inclusive fire in it. The accessibility lead is kind of like this single match. It would be very difficult for them to get all of these big wooden blocks to burn forever, all by themselves. You need to go out and find some firelighters to help you start this fire. So sticky accessibility win number 2 is find and organize your accessibility allies. People who can be passionate about accessibility and help the accessibility lead out in keeping the fire alive in your workplace. Some organizations call this the Accessibility Champions Program, others call it the Accessibility Guilds or Accessibility Circles or Forum. Whatever you call it, find these people and group them together. Sticky accessibility win number 3. Make accessibility a habit. Accessibility shouldn't be a one-time thing you do, it should be something you keep doing on a regular basis, but that's easier said than done, like with any habit. So one technique you can use, which is really effective, is called habit stacking. And this is how that works. Let's say you have the goal of meditating each day, but if you're anything like me, then you'll probably be able to keep that up for a few days at a time, but you find yourself forgetting about it, and finally, after a while, it might not happen at all. So then you can use habit stacking, which is basically you write down your other daily routines that you do each day, your daily habits, like brushing your teeth, maybe you have lunch, maybe you end work, and then you connect your new habit to one of your existing ones. So maybe you decide to meditate for 1 minute after you brush your teeth each day, or before you start working. And in that way, it's much more likely that the new habit will stick. So think of and maybe even write down which habits you already have in place at your work. It might be that every other week you have a sprint demo, or you have some knowledge sharing activities like lunch and learns, or at the start of each project you have to make a project plan. And then consider how you can add accessibility to these existing routines. So maybe you decide that every sprint demo you demo an accessibility feature, or that every project plan needs to have a part on accessibility, or every third or fourth lunch and learn will be on the topic of inclusion or accessibility. And in that way you'll have like stacked accessibility into your current habits, and it's much more likely to stick. Time for sticky accessibility win number 4. Avoid a compliance mindset. So the teams that do the best with accessibility tend to focus the least on WCAG, legislation and other standards and guidelines. Hoping that your colleagues who are new to accessibility will learn about it from the WCAG guidelines is kind of like me hoping my baby will learn how to walk by reading my university physics book. I mean, it's a great book, all the theory is in there, but it's a bit too long and abstract to digest at the moment. Instead, my kid will probably learn to walk by watching other people in the real world, by trying it himself a lot and failing, and maybe getting some support from a parent or two. In the same way, you should probably teach your colleagues about accessibility by setting up some user tests, arranging accessibility training, and letting people approach accessibility at their own speed. Time for the final sticky accessibility win, number 5, bake accessibility in from the start. I listened to a great talk by legal legend Lainey Feingold, who made a great comparison. She said adding accessibility at the end of a project is kind of like baking blueberry muffins, but adding the blueberries after the muffins are baked. It's the same ingredients, but not as good and just not right. One great way of baking accessibility in from the start is by adding it as part of your onboarding training for new colleagues. Another great way is to include the diverse users as part of your user testing, and to user test on a regular basis and early on in the project lifecycle. So, time for a final recap. The 5 sticky accessibility wins are: number 1, make someone accessibility lead. Number 2, find and organize accessibility allies. Number 3, make accessibility a habit. Number 4, avoid a compliance mindset. And number 5, bake accessibility in from the beginning. Thank you for having taken these strolls with me, and good luck on your accessibility journey. Bye bye!